of the fans that had followed day one of the Toyota 1000 partied through the night at the overnight stop and were on hand to welcome the teams when they arrived to resume battle on Sunday.
Well, it's going to be tight and tough, and luckily we haven't got dust ahead of us, but we're going to enjoy it, I'm sure.
Grobler and Leek had 6 minutes and 9 seconds in hand over Woolwich and Scholthammer and immediately set off to increase their lead.
Our car works, I think, better than theirs when with full tanks, and we've got a nice full tank now, so we're nice and fresh after a night's sleep, so hopefully we can make up the time. I'm hoping that they've got to stop for fuel and we don't, so I'm pretty confident. And for us, there's two of the Nissans are out, so now it's a one-on-one, the first time ever. It's one Nissan, one Ford, so may the best man win.
The Team Ford Racing pair was in a confident frame of mind and not at all fazed by what they believed was a relatively small lead the Nissan crew had over them. One puncture was all it needed to bring the rivals back onto even terms. Ippi and Machali Makhakaneni were even tenser than Father Atang.
Well, we've got a 38-minute lead on the next guy in our class, so we're going to drive the car to the refuel and see how far they're behind us. And we're just going to go in a gentle pace now, and if we need to wind it up later, we will. But the car's in excellent condition, which was our original plan, and I'm very confident we'll get to the finish first.
Tremendous fan support from Makhakaneni and Carolyn, who believed that their only real threat was from Shamir Variawa in the Oven Fresh Biscuits Porter. The strain was showing on Mark Cronje's face. Was he nervous, intense, pensive? Well, you decide. For my money, I'd say Cronje was nervous because he knew that Alfie Cox and Ralph Pitchford were only 11 minutes behind in the Arnold Chats Cars Nissan Hardbody. Cox usually takes no prisoners and wanted the Class D win more than anything else. Variawa and Dudhia had a point to prove. The Oven Fresh Biscuits Porter was the latest American cutting-edge creation to arrive on our shores and designed to take on all comers. Probler woke on Sunday and realized he had a chronic diarrhea problem, but decided to start the final leg of the Toyota 1000. He figured he had enough of a lead to deal with all eventualities and continued to extend his lead over Woolwich and Scholthammer in the Team Ford Racing Ranger. Three times Toyota 1000 winner Woolridge knew that, barring any unforeseen problems, he and 2 times winner Scholthammer could mount a challenge for the lead later in the race. The role of the co-driver, in this case Bucks Carolyn, is invaluable when it comes to keeping the driver in check. Makhakaneni was in fine form and entirely focused on winning the special vehicle category in the Total Jimco. Cronje and Birkin were third in the production vehicle category and the Class D leaders in the Castrol Toyota Hilux 2.7i, but Cox and Pitchford were on a charge and intent on making up as much lost ground as possible in the Arnold Chats Nissan Hardbody. 2000 Special Vehicle champion Shamea Variawa had been inactive for over 2 seasons and was getting to grips with the BMW 540 V8 powered Porter, while Clint Gibson and Mike Brown were holding station in 3rd place in the Presidium bat. The KwaZulu-Natal pair finished 2nd on the Nissan Sugarbelt 400 and were desperate for the elusive maiden Special Vehicle category overall victory. Class E leaders Hugo and Jaap de Bruin completed day 1 with only 1st and 2nd gears and had to change the gearbox on the Castrol Toyota Hilux at the overnight stop. Zane Pierce and Henny Vosloo were having their best run yet in the Castrol Toyota Hilux KZTE and were only 56 seconds behind the former Class E champions. Gary Berthold, who switched from a Class A bat to the Class D Advanced Soft Nissan Hardbody, showed that he had adapted well in only his 2nd race in the pickup and was 3rd in Class D, but being chased by Paolo Piazzamosso and Rod Herring in the Castrol Toyota Hilux that had suffered from overheating problems on day 1. Husband and wife, Nielsen Zelda van der Walt, were models of consistency in the Nissan Hardbody and comfortably ensconced in 3rd place in Class E. Mohammed Noble and Richard Hope were 4th in the Special Vehicle category and the Class S leaders in the Abe's Furniture Raceco that had so far not missed a beat. KwaZulu-Natal farmer Marcus Taylor and Johannesburg businessman Mark Duchalane had matters under control in Class B and were 11 minutes clear of their closest challengers, Hamish and Alistair Stubbs in the Fence Erect Viper. Victory has so far eluded the brothers, who have established themselves as strong contenders in Class B. Arnold Pistorius and Theo Grobler were still in contention in Class B and had an outside chance of picking up a class win in the Raceco. Hannes Grobler was not in good physical shape but persevered. Woolridge and Scholthammer were on a charge in the Team Ford Racing Ranger and slowly closing in on the leading Nissan. Oops. That was a close call. Here's a slow-mo replay of the incident, which Woolridge later described as hair-raising. The Ford appeared none the worse for wear after the encounter with that ditch, but soon hereafter the rear differential failed and the crew had to nurse the vehicle to the Midway service point. There was now little hope of them catching the Nissan. Castrol Toyota crew Mark Cronje and Chris Birkin were 3rd overall and leading Class D by 13 minutes from Alfie Cox and Ralph Pitchford in the Arnold Chats Cars Nissan Hardbody, in which they won the class on the Nissan Sugarbelt 400. But Cronje and Birkin have yet to win Class D this season. Class E leaders Hugo and Jaap de Bruin couldn't afford to relax for 1 second because they had Zane Pierce and Henny Vosloo, also in a Castrol Toyota Hilux, still breathing down their necks. Pierce and Vosloo started 2.5 minutes behind the De Bruins and had lost a little ground to trail the Vryburg businessman by 4.5 minutes at this point. Gary Bertholdt and Siegfried Rosso had moved up 3 places and were third in Class D in the Advanced Softness and Hardbody, but only 28 seconds ahead of Class D winners on the Nissan Dealer 400, Paolo Piazzamossa and Rod Herring in the Castrol Toyota Hilux. The only surviving GBS Racing Nissan hardbody, crewed by JP Augustine and Johan Dubel, would soon retire with a cooked motor after the radiator cradle broke. Henry Zamatin and Bodo Schwegler were, as always, having a steady run in the Mastercraft PlayStation Pajero and just waiting to pick up a place or two as their Class D rivals dropped out of the race. On the special vehicle front, there was just no stopping Atang Magegheneni and Bucks Carolyn in the Total Jimco. They had a 40-minute lead over Shamir Variawa and Nadim Dudhir, who had started 72nd on day 1 and were now second overall in the obscenely fast Oven Fresh Biscuits Porter. Clint Gibson and Mike Brown in the Presidium Bat had dropped to third and were a further 6 minutes down on the race leaders, while Nick Harper and Andrew Chalupsky were fourth in the Bat Racing entry and only 12 minutes ahead of the Class S leaders Mohammed Noble and Richard Hogue in the Abe's Furniture Race Co. Noble and Hogue were shadowed throughout the race by team members in a chase helicopter. The same Chevy LS1 V8 engine as that fitted to the race-leading Total Jimco powers the Raceco. Taylor and Deschalane were still the Class B leaders in the John Rowe built JRE, but had the Stubbs brothers only 14 minutes behind. Nell had moved up to third in the Look ATE Truggy that would unfortunately soon be sidelined with distributor problems, which would allow Warren Claassen and Kim Dixon to nip through and grab third spot in the Radflow Zarco Light. Hannes Krobler and Richard Leek were in spectacular form and had increased their lead over Neil Woolridge and Ken Scholthammer by another minute. Woolridge and Scholthammer continued to nurse the Team Ford Racing Ranger to the designated service point and found the going in front-wheel drive only to be extremely tough, especially in sandy conditions. Special vehicle leaders Atang Magegheneni and Bucks Carolyn had not had a single problem throughout the Toyota 1000, and if they continued at this pace, they were unlikely to be beaten. Gibson and Brown were now second after Variawa and Dudhir had to stop to sort out a slipping clutch, replace a flat wheel and repair a loose airbox. With just on 250 kilometres of the race run and another 250 to go, the order was relatively unchanged, with Hannes Krobler and Richard Leek in the proudly South African Nissan hardbody still in the lead. Neil Woolridge and Ken Scholthammer were still second and desperate to reach the midway point at Manchwabisi so that the rear differential on the Ford Ranger could be replaced. Atang Magegheneni and Bucks Carolyn were third fastest overall on this sector, with their time of 55 minutes and 1 second, only 7 seconds slower than Class D leaders Mark Cronje and Chris Birkin in the Castrol Toyota Hilux 2.7i. They, in turn, were 5 seconds slower than arch rivals Alfie Cox and Ralph Pitchford in the Arnold Chatz Cars Nissan Hardbody. Cox was in fine form on an event that he has won 3 times on a motorcycle. Gibson and Brown was second overall in the special vehicle category, but over 4 minutes slower than the leaders over this sector, while Hugo and Jaap de Bruin were proving to be uncatchable in the Class E leading Castrol Toyota Hilux. Zane Pierce is an all-rounder and has raced powerboats, SAS cars and V8 saloon cars with success. He and Phosphor were only 9 minutes adrift of the Class E leaders at this point. With the problems of day one now behind them, Castrol Toyota crew Piazza Musso and Herring were starting to pile on the pressure in an effort to make up some of the 48 minutes they had lost the previous day, while Harper and Chalupsky were quite happy to be running third overall in the back racing entry. Sir Martin and Zweigler had earned the reputation for being good Samaritans and were disappointed when no one stopped to help them extract the Mastercraft PlayStation Pajero from a hole. Some low flying from Variawa and Dudhir.